Welcome to Hotspot with me, John Pennington, and Chetan Narula in Auckland. Hello again, Chetan.
Hi, John.
And obviously you moved on from Hamilton, where the second one-day international between New Zealand and India was played. Just give us your first impressions of Auckland.
Well, I mean, the entire country is beautiful, and Auckland is obviously no different. But a lot more hustle bustle here at this capital city of New Zealand. I mean, it's completely different from the two cities that I've been to, Napier and Hamilton. Napier was absolutely quiet, closing down at 6 p.m. Hamilton relatively more commotion, closing down at 8 or 9. Auckland is still very much alive, and it's past midnight here. So you can imagine that this is a relatively much more complicated city, if I can put it like that. Quite a lively city. It's the Auckland anniversary weekend. It's been 174 years since Auckland was
Mm.
set up. So nice time to be here. I was at the marina at Auckland, and they're having quite an entertaining night tonight. So yeah, good to be part of those celebrations.
Okay, well, if we talk about celebrations, it's not something that India have been doing too much of recently because they're 2-0 down in the series now, the second game in Hamilton. Let's just get your sort of review of that game. I suppose you could say they're getting a bit clever. 15 runs, the margin. Duckworth Lewis came into play, a bit of weather as well. But just sort of talk us through how you saw that particular game.
India actually managed to win that game. I mean, they scored 277 and New Zealand on 271. So, in that particular sense, you can say yes, India did manage to get some positives out of that particular game, the second ODI. I mean, but yet again, I mean, you have to consider the fact that the Duckworth Lewis system is the same for everyone. I mean, if it was the shoe was on the other foot, I mean, we wouldn't have said that. New Zealand technically won. I mean, a loss is a loss. Let's be very honest. And there were reasons why India could not make those 15 or 19 runs, and the reasons are that the bowling is not good enough at the moment. Especially, when you talk about the working hard in the initial overs, the bowling is decently well in the initial overs. Mohammad Shami has been taking wickets very, very regularly. He's been the best bowler in South Africa. He's been absolutely on the money in New Zealand as well. Um, they've been improving in their death bowling. Obviously, they gave away 100 runs in 8 overs in the last game, but in the previous game also they gave away 90 runs in the last 10 overs. But at the same time, they have been improving in terms of the areas that they're bowling, especially Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who's been bowling a lot more Yorkers in the death overs. Ishant Sharma, uh, he's still struggling, as he often tends to do. But I mean, it's heartening to see that Ashwin is also trying to bowl in the death overs. So there's been some improvement, but where they've gone missing is in the middle overs when the spinners come on. Ashwin and Jadeja, they haven't really been taking any wickets. Just 3 wickets in the last five ODIs for Ravindra Jadeja, 1 wicket for Ashwin. Ever since they started playing in South Africa and New Zealand, yes, the pitches are not really conducive to spin bowling, but at the same time, just 3 wickets and the 1 wicket, that's not really um, a very good indicator of the Indian bowling in the middle over. So by the time we get to the 35th over, New Zealand, who have a lot of firepower in the lower order, they have a lot of wickets in hand, and Corey Anderson is just adding zeros to his IPL contract at the moment. So yeah, quite a few factors why New Zealand got to that particular score. Afterwards, I thought Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan needed to get off to a good start. They did get starts, individual starts, but very, very poor shot from Shikhar Dhawan. Rohit Sharma, again, a loose shot from him. Um, you know, they've done well together as the opening combination in the subcontinent, then in West Indies and Champions Trophy, and then Zimbabwe. But you know, there will be a point when questions will start to be asked about their current poor form. So we're slowly getting to that stage. If we lose at this series, if India lose this series, then that stage will come sooner rather than later. Ajinkya Rahane got some runs, Virat Kohli got runs, MS Dhoni got runs, even Suresh Raina got runs. But Suresh Raina, I thought, looked comfortable at the number 6 spot. So maybe that is something that Dhoni needs to keep in mind going forward. Because the longer Suresh Raina tries to stay at the wicket, the longer uh, the opposition bowlers try to get him out, use the short delivery because he has this pressure of staying at the wicket. So you don't really, really heap that on his mind. And well, yeah, I thought Ajinkya Rahane's dismissal was the turning point because a few more runs. It was a needless shot from Ajinkya Rahane. Yes, the run rate was climbing, but a few more overs and Virat Kohli probably would have gotten the run rate down. So, um, you know, that was I thought the turning point of the match. Ajinkya Rahane's dismissal. Although it was positive to see number 4, number 5, and number 6 scoring runs for India.
And that's now obviously 2 games that India lost chasing. So much of their strength the last 3-4 years has been their ability to almost chase down any target. Getting concerned in any way that they've lost games that maybe perhaps a few months ago, a couple of years ago, they would have won, or are we being a bit harsh in alien conditions, if you will, with what is still a sort of elements of this team that's sort of untried?
I wouldn't say we're being harsh with them. I mean, obviously South Africa was a tough series. It was an overseas tour for the first time in nearly 2 years for the Indian team, and obviously they needed some time to get accustomed to the conditions. But um, in New Zealand, they've just played poor cricket all around. I mean, poor bowling and poor batting both. In South Africa, it was just the batting was not able to cope up because we never really expected them to do well in particular. The bowling in particular do well, but it was batting who was struggling. It was understandable, just 3 matches, not too much. It just gets the team gets a little half baked. But here, as I said, it's just been poor cricket. I'm not sure about the chasing bit because like Tim Southey said in the press conference today, the grounds in New Zealand are a bit smaller. So when you have a target, you're able to break it down, and you know that the boundaries are shorter, and you can always go for big shots. And again, it will be that particular point tomorrow as well. Eden Park. I mean, how Napier was small. Eden Park is even smaller. I mean, you can see you can see fine leg and third man at the same time. It's really surprising, to be very honest. Uh, so yeah, I mean, not sure if chasing is a bit of a problem. I think playing poor cricket is the bigger problem. The openers not getting starts. One of the reasons why India were able to chase down is that the top order always scored runs. And now there are no runs coming from, like I said, 22 was their best partnership in the last 5 ODIs. And it really, goes on to tell a tale.
If we're saying sort of India played poor cricket, should we be sort of giving New Zealand a bit of credit? Their bats sort of doing okay. Kane Williamson's in good form. Ross Taylor's playing well. Corey Anderson, you sort of touched on him a little bit earlier on. He's fast becoming sort of rising star of 2014.
Absolutely, I think New Zealand have been fantastic in the way they have played their cricket. It's a team that's really starting to gel well. India are having a bit of a low patch, and it's a given because they had a fantastic 2013, and if they really want to gather some momentum going towards 2014, they want some low points so that they can again rise up. New Zealand, on the other hand, are on the rise. They're building up towards that particular tournament. They know that it's in their backyard. They know the conditions better than most teams, and now they also, the biggest point is that they have a batting lineup which is conducive to these new rules. They have Ryder and Guptill and Williamson to just give them a good solid start. Then Williams and Taylor take care of the middle overs, and Taylor can really bat in both gears. He can bat in the first and second gear, and he can also score third, fourth, fifth gear. And then obviously you have Bryn McCullum, Luke Ronchi, and Corey Anderson. So these are all big hitters. So on smaller grounds in New Zealand with that home advantage, they are really able to make do with these ODI conditions. And in these conditions, chasing 300 is never going to be easy, especially if your batsmen are not in good form. That's the case with India, but again, like I said, New Zealand are really, just rising up at the moment. This is a good time to play some good attacking cricket, get your plans firmed up, and that's what New Zealand are doing. I think, you can say that Australia are the most improved ODI side in recent times. I would really say New Zealand are equally comparable at the moment.
And you mentioned you've been to the press conferences today, I should say. Just tell us what you sort of gleaned from that, and whether you think either team will make any changes. And I think India, you'd think maybe they've got to make some changes, but perhaps not. Just tell us, give us your views and what the players who you've seen today have said.
Well, let's start with Tim Southee. He was not. He was sure that there'll be more pace and bounce on the pitch, and maybe Hamish Bennett might come into play because he's not really Adam Milner with 150 plus, but he really does bowl 145 to 150. So, the square boundaries here at Eden Park are around 65 meters. That's the longest boundary. So when you bowl short, it could really come into play, the short stuff against the Indian batsmen. 4 of their batsmen got out that way in the first ODI. So. Ajinkya Rahane got out that way as well in Hamilton. Rohit Sharma again, chasing a wide short delivery. So that might still come into play. So maybe Hamish Bennett for Kyle Mills. It's just a 50-50 shot, I would say. Depends again on what sort of conditions we have tomorrow morning. India, there's some news in the new developing news that Suresh Raina he was hit in the net. I saw that. He's got an X-ray done. There's some tissue damage. He'll undergo a fitness test ahead of the toss in the morning.
Whereabouts was he hit, Chetan? Just to bring us up to date.
He was hit just below the elbow on the left arm, and he was quite in pain and he was trying to lift the bat and see what sort of back lift he could get, and he was in pain, he was in discomfort. I could see that. But yeah, late in the evening, we've received the news that he's undergone an X-ray and has some tissue damage and will undergo a fitness test ahead of the morning. Suresh Raina will fit into any Indian 11, especially in a do-or-die situation. It'll be a little bit of a suicide not to play because he's such a resourceful cricketer, even when he's out of form. He did play a decent cameo in the last match, so can't really negate that. However, he's not been in the best of patches, and should Dhoni feel the need for Ambati Rayudu or Stuart Binney to play, Stuart Binney also gives you a bowling option, so he might just, edge ahead of Ambati Rayudu. But India are a bit stubborn with their, match selection. So again, Ambati Rayudu is also a shoo-in. I don't see any changes in the batting lineup apart from Suresh Raina's fitness concerns. If he's fit enough to hold the bat, then probably he will play. He's not even in the test side, so it's not a matter of aggravating his injury and him missing the test. The Ashwin Jadeja combination will be disturbed, but at the same time, since Bhuvneshwar Kumar came for the press conference, I can imagine that he will be playing. Maybe Ishant Sharma might be sitting out. If I were MS Dhoni, more pace and bounce in this particular pitch. Varun Aaron is currently the fastest bowler in this Indian ODI squad. Umesh Yadav is sitting at home, so he's the quickest bowler at the moment in this squad. So why not just give him a try on what should be a really good pacey wicket, and maybe something different will come out of it.
And finally, Chetan, we'll finish with our predictions, and I suppose we've got a decision to make because both of us said before the series that India would go on and win the series. So are we going to stick with that, or are we going to sort of slightly change our minds? There's plenty of motivation because England's win today over in Perth I think means they can, if they win 3-2, and I believe England probably need to win the other game as well, they can get back to number 1 if my maths is correct. But so which way are we going? Are we going for India to win and come back and win this series, or are we sort of staying with the home side?
Well, John, I'm going to abstain from answering that question. I'm just going to answer. I'm just going to answer the question in terms of tomorrow's match. I'm just going to say that tomorrow India will win. Tomorrow India will win. If they win, then we still have 2 more matches, and given we'll have to analyze the conditions in which they'll win tomorrow. But I'll put down India for victory tomorrow simply because a shorter ground with some good pace and bounce. The batsmen might just be a little more excited by it, and might just be able to put up a good total. Put New Zealand under pressure. There might be a little more swing around, a little more wind around. So it's a do-or-die situation. They might just be fired up as well. So more than anything, the short boundaries I think will really excite the Indian batsmen. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. And again, like I said, do-or-die situation. So if India win tomorrow, then obviously we can discuss. But like I said, abstaining from the series question because a little bit of a moot point, really, with New Zealand 2-0 up. But just talking about tomorrow's game, I'll put in India for a little bit of my money.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with India as well. We did our Mr. Predictor with Alistair earlier in the week. You can see that on Cricket World, and I went for India then, so I'm going to be consistent and go for India to win again. This is the best thing for the series, keep it alive, so let's hope for a good contest, a good game, but I'm going to go for an India win. So, Chetan, thank you very much for joining me once again.
Pleasure, John. And I hope our listeners enjoy this first hotspot
absolutely
from Cricket World.
Yes, rebranding. So thank you for joining us here on Hotspot, and I hope you can join us again next time.